Hi folks, my name is Gheeotine, and I haven't finished playing Warhammer 40k Space Marines 2 yet. Don't look at me like that. Yeah, for the sake of full disclosure, this was not the video I was originally intending on putting out this week, but thanks to that poll I made, all of you gave me the opportunity to talk about something else in the meantime. Although, ironically, one could argue this makes the video topical, because the subject matter occasionally has to deal with filler stories for the sake of production. So with all that out of the way, here's my top 10 favorite animes. It was gonna be 5, but honestly, I had a hard time narrowing it down to 10. Now, just to get some things out of the way, if you have an anime you like but it's not on this list, that doesn't mean I think it's bad. People are free to disagree. If you want to foster a discussion about your favorite, just bring it up in the comments. Like I said, be respectful. So with all that said, let's begin with... number 10. The Sacrificial Princess and the King of Beasts. Let's initiate this list with something uncomplicated. The story opens and follows the saga of Sarifi, a girl raised to be an offering to the Beast Kingdom in a ritual believed to be necessary to prevent invasion and conflict. Given the hardship in her life, she remains unbothered in the face of alleged monsters that claim she will be dead soon. On the night of her sacrifice, she learns that the king is half human and transforms on the night of the sacrifice in question, and has actually been sparing all the sacrifices unbeknownst to the rest of his advisors and assistants. After transforming back, because of her unbothered nature, he vows to take Sarifi as his bride-to-be. The series that follows is one of overcoming stereotypical perceptions, challenging worldviews, and ultimately trying to make the world better through mutual understanding. Yeah, it may not be the most original or earth-shattering messages, but the underlying theme of racism bad seems to be more relevant as time goes on. Just look up Haitian immigrants in the news lately. That aside, it's, again, uncomplicated, wholesome, and after completing it, I just kind of sat there and thought to myself, that was nice. I'm happy I watched that. 99999! Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters. For the record, I'm only talking about the original 5-season anime that ran from 2000 to 2004. I learned not too long ago that the original story had no intention of becoming a card game, but when the creator wrote it, he ended up getting messages from people that wanted to know how to play. With that in mind, when watching the first season, understand that there are very few rules for the game itself other than what's needed to facilitate drama, which was good enough to have the card game become a worldwide sensation afterwards. Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters follows Yugimoto, a high schooler who solves the equivalent of an ancient Rubik's Cube and unlocks an ancient Egyptian spirit that makes him really good at games that it later turns out were birthed from interdimensional monster battles that Egyptian mages conducted back in the day. Are you confused yet? Looking back, it feels like the writer, Kazuki Takahashi, was working backwards to make a high-stakes anime based around something mundane like a collectible card game. But I'd say he succeeded. The modern animes feel like they're more there to market the card game, which is why the original series feels unique. It was a story first, and to me it was a damn good one. Enough to get me into the card game for a while. These days I feel the card game suffers due to rampant power creep that results in duels ending in a single turn. Speaking of singular devastating moves... Number 8? One Punch Man. This is probably the one I've re-watched the most. It follows Saitama, a protagonist who becomes so powerful that he destroys all opponents with a single hit. It's a comedy action anime. According to the creator, a person with the pseudonym One, it's meant to be more of a parody, an example of a shonen anime where the main character starts the story with the power he should have obtained by the end. The result is OP hilarity. Any and all actual drama surrounding Saitama that would require force is neutralized instantly. It becomes us studying the character in such an environment, but if you're looking for intense fights and life or death struggles, that's where all the other characters come in. The adversity of the background characters and their plots often take center stage, with Saitama often serving as the lighthearted and comedic solution just when hope seems lost. He can't be everywhere at once, but once he arrives on scene, the Cape Baldy saves the day. Number 7. Reincarnated as a slime in another world. Here we have the first isekai, or roughly translates to different world anime. For the uninitiated, isekais often have individuals transported by magic or reincarnation to different realms, often a high fantasy setting with magic, swords, elves, dragons, etc, etc. It's quickly becoming an overplayed trope, but that's because some of the earlier ones ended up being really good. Enter Reincarnated as a Slime. We follow Rimuru, an office worker who was killed in a knife attack in urban Japan, and was reborn as a slime monster in the aforementioned fantasy realm. He quickly familiarizes himself with his surroundings, adapts, and forms relationships while acquiring knowledge until he is able to unite monsters around him to form a basic society. From there, his quest continues through both conflict and later diplomacy. But that doesn't mean Rimuru is a pushover. He's a pacifist, but it's worth remembering the following saying. A pacifist is one who is capable of violence, but chooses not to be violent. Show the respect respect that you would expect to receive, and he'll welcome you with open arms. Bring harm to his nation, his subjects, or his friends, and the only thing waiting for you is a swift end, and he really would like to be friends instead.
6.
Campfire cooking in another world with my absurd skill. I'm actually rewatching this one while composing this script. I might as well keep the isekais back to back, and this one is much more low stakes, but equally enjoyable to me. Makoto Tsuyoshi gets transported to another world via magic teleportation, but the only special ability he gets is access to buy from a supermarket website that instantly spawns food items in his world. Through making delicious meals, he forms a partnership with the legendary beast Fenrir, gains blessings from the gods, and begins his own quest to just try and enjoy life while being assailed by the amazing and extraordinary from all sides. That being said, it's a foodie anime. Watching it gets me hungry and makes me want to try cooking stuff. It's a fair bit like Food Wars, but a lot less uncomfortable with food as a sexual experience involving high school students. It's just plain pleasant if you're looking for something funny and low stakes.
Number 5.
My Hero Academia, and here we have one of the current big boys. Best summarized as X-Men, but anime high school, it follows Izuku Midoriya, or Deku, on his journey from nobody with no powers to being the greatest hero. It's a story of growth and overcoming the lingering shortcomings of the society that came before. At least, that's what I get out of it. Compelling characters, interesting powers, engrossing societal dynamics, and some peak drama complemented by gorgeously animated fight scenes makes an anime that leaves me understanding why it's currently near the top right now, at least as far as the cultural zeitgeist is concerned.
4.
Furikuri. Where do I start with this one? The first season being only 6 episodes long, this one takes up a fair amount of my mental real estate for such a short runtime. I've only seen the first season, and I intend to check out the others eventually, but the whacked-out story, confident style, and brain-rotting humor has left an impression on me years later. A boy named Naota is struck by a girl on a moped wielding an electric guitar like a battle axe to open an interdimensional portal in his forehead, and you know what? I'm not saying anything more. Just watch it. You can't spare the time for 6 episodes when you're likely binging full seasons in an evening.
3.
Initial D. This one should be no surprise, as I've alluded to it several times in game reviews thus far. Being marginally into cars and racing as well, Initial D struck a massive chord. The early seasons haven't aged well due to the CG animation for the races, but the drama surrounding them I feel still carries it. Fujiwara Takumi is a high school student that, due to his seemingly layabout father, has been doing early morning tofu deliveries up at a mountain resort since his early teens. Since he wanted to get it over with as soon as possible, he accidentally became one of the most skilled and speedy drivers on his local mountain, in spite of never caring to race another person. After an out-of-town team endeavors to beat a local crew, Takumi is unwittingly sucked into it and begins his tale as one of the most dominating mountain street racers in all of Japan. Never have I encountered a series before or since where the navigation of a single turn is as engrossing and pulse-pounding as a fight scene with the planet at stake.
Number 2.
Kaiju number 8. One of the newest additions to the list, one could argue that its recent screening is giving it an unfair advantage. Even so, I strongly believe that this one would still be somewhere in my top 10. The story follows Kafka Hibino, a 30-something-year-old man who finds himself working in a crew designated for the cleanup of the aftermath of giant monster exterminations that occasionally take place to inconvenience everyone's morning commute. My facetious phrasing misleads the gargantuan threat the kaijus actually are, and Kafka dreams of joining the superhuman response force so he can do his part alongside his childhood friend and crush. Seemingly about to give up on his dream due to his age, circumstances arise that turn him into a sentient monster that allows him to control a transformation, and he uses the powers as an opportunity to throw his all into chasing the dream he almost lost. Due to my own age and life circumstances, I can't help but find Kafka endearing. All the characters seem fleshed out, and on top of everything else, the fight scenes had me absorbed to the point that if they were interrupted by the to-be-continued outro, I would literally scream. Before we get to number 1, here's some honorable mentions with the understanding that even with all these ones included, I wasn't able to include every anime I like. I have a Crunchyroll subscription, I have Netflix, and I still have trouble keeping a curated list. Avatar: The Last Airbender. I put it here because I don't care to argue with people that say it's not an anime, insufferable argument over semantics that it is. Mashal, Magic and Muscle. Black Clover mixed with Harry Potter and a little One Punch Man. A raucous laugh with wholesome themes. Demon Slayer, a perfect example of a mid-tier story, experiencing massive success due to AAA execution. I love watching the spectacle, even if the plot is somewhat predictable. Tsukimichi Moonlit Fantasy, a more mercantile-oriented version of the reincarnated as a slime anime. I was reincarnated as the 7th prince so I can take my time perfecting my magic. OP magic isekai protagonist to the point of comedy. A 2-for-1 with Blue Lock and Haikyuu. An anime has to be good if it's about sports and I still pay attention. One Piece. Trying to catch up, enjoying it, but so many episodes. Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann. The epitome of over-the-top escalation until the main characters are fighting godlike entities in mechs the size of literal galaxies. And finally, Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. This one was good enough where I just had to include it somewhere.
1.
Beastars. Yeah, I know the label this one will probably get me, but if you need to brand me as such, then so be it. I couldn't care less because, for me, Beastars is amazing. Written by Paru Itagaki, the daughter of the author of Baki, it follows the story of Legoshi, a juvenile wolf in high school where the animal kingdom in its entirety has evolved to match that of modern-day humanity, with humans nowhere in sight. Granted, that may not be the most accurate description, but I love the series for a few other reasons. One, for its fully realized world. Beastars was born from Itagaki's Beast Complex series, which was an exploration of a Zootopia-like society, but one that wasn't afraid to delve into the darker, more complicated, or nuanced subject matter that Disney won't touch with a 10-foot pole. Discrimination or stereotypes based on carnivorous or herbivorous species, and the ways that they can intermingle is but one facet of Beastars I find compelling. The other saga is of Legoshi himself. After nearly succumbing to his more savage instincts one night, he forms a relationship with the rabbit girl he nearly ended, and from there begins a journey of self-discovery as well as seeking understanding for a society that he hopes will someday accept the feelings for the girl he now wishes to protect and fight for. That latter part is why I enjoy Beastars so much, because it resonates so strongly with my own life experiences. You see, up until somewhere between 2017 and 2020, I wouldn't say I was sheltered, but my life was somewhat, let's say, insular. I didn't care much to learn of the world around me, but after my own shocking experiences, I began to open up to new perspectives, to gain insight on the ways of my society and allow my own beliefs to be challenged. Beliefs that I could almost describe as bigoted in hindsight. I sought understanding with the hope of a better world, much like Legoshi, and I've since gained knowledge of myself in the process. That is why I like Beastars. And there we have it, my top 10 favorite animes along with a lengthy honorable mentions list. If you have something that you want to shout out, go ahead and put it in the comments. I'm always looking for more stuff to check out, except for harem animes. Harem animes are garbage. Bye! Hey, thanks for sticking around all the way to the end. Remember that I give away Steam keys with my regular weekly uploads, and all you have to do to enter is leave a comment and have contact info on your YouTube profile. But as always, thanks for watching and keep your head on your shoulders.